Hey, wealth warriors, are you ready to redefine wealth and master your money mindset? Welcome to Women of Wealth. I'm your Gen X host, Holly Woods Gray. And today, our millennial host, Ali Ramo, will not be joining us. Today, our show is focused on a true force in the world of leadership and women entrepreneurship, Kimberley Borgens. Kimberly is a powerhouse CEO, a leadership strategist, an award-winning business mentor, and the founder of the Be Bold movement, empowering women to step into their confidence, own their own voice, and build businesses that create impact, income, and generational wealth. I've known Kimberly for a few years, and we're so excited for her to be here today and share her story. Kimberly brings heart, wisdom, humor, and real-life strategy to everything she touches. So welcome to Women of Wealth, Kimberly.
Thank you so much, Hawley. Thanks for having me. I'm so excited to be here on Women of Wealth. I love the title of this podcast, the Women of Wealth. So I'm really excited for this.
Well, for those people who don't know you like I do, take us back a little bit on your journey, how you got into entrepreneurship and how you got into this big mission of helping women own their own voice and their confidence.
Well, I was not meant to be an entrepreneur. That was never anything in my mindset, although in high school, I remember like the first business I thought that I wanted to have is I wanted to be the driver of a red limousine. So I wanted to have a red limousine company and I wanted to be the driver and I was going to, just really go out there. But I didn't really have a mindset to be an entrepreneur. I wasn't raised around entrepreneurs. I actually grew up in a military family. And so that was never anything really on my mindset. I went to college. I went to, did all this stuff. And then, went to the police academy. I was going to be a police officer out in the field. Okay. From red limousine owner to police officer out in the field and so on. And then after a while, I decided I didn't want to be out on the street. And I had met this private investigator guy and he said, hey, you want to, start a business together? And I was like, oh, okay. Why not? Right. It would get me from being out on the street. It would get me more home, all these crazy things. Right. And, then I started my life as an entrepreneur. And let me tell you, I was a dumb entrepreneur. When you first start out as an entrepreneur, Holly, like you've done this. I mean, you were an entrepreneur, you started out and you really didn't know what you got into.
That's for sure.
Right. And you didn't really know like, how hard could it be to run a business?
By making all those mistakes, though, you really learn how to run a business, though, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I think that's the biggest thing that I would say is my learning curve in being as smart as I am now to become the CEO and now running a multi-million-dollar corporation that was started out with no employees, just two of us trying to figure it out.
Yeah.
Is really understanding that one of the biggest mindset shifts that entrepreneurs, especially women, if you want to create wealth, per this podcast, right? If you want to create wealth, you have to understand that being an entrepreneur means that what you have to do is learn the lessons that you're being taught as that entrepreneur. You have to learn that you can't do it all by yourself. You also have to learn that you have to invest in yourself, not just in your learning, but in your future. Having that life insurance policy, having your retirement set up, having all of those things set up, because nobody else, here's a little tip, right? Nobody else is going to take care of it for you.
Yeah.
Nobody. If you're not willing to do it, well, nobody else is willing to either. Yeah. Sorry, ladies, but you're going to be the person who's living off of Social Security, can't make enough money, and desperate and feeling lonely and upset because you didn't take care of you. And I have an amazing husband, Holly, you know that. I have an amazing husband who works hard to take care of me in certain areas, but he'll be the first one to tell you, I asked him a question one time, Holly. I said, do you think that I'm high maintenance? And he just kind of looked at me kind of funny. And he's like, For me, no. For yourself, absolutely. Like, ladies, we have to be high maintenance for ourselves. We have to take care of ourselves. And so if you can look at being an entrepreneur as the biggest education that you will ever pay for, is learn the lessons when you feel like it's a failure, when you feel like you got knocked down, when you feel like, why does this even matter? If you will stop and take a deep breath and ask yourself, what do I need to learn right now?
I mean, and the education never stops, right?
Never.
I mean, you have your core business, your security company, you have that pretty mastered, right? And then
Pretty much.
you decide to start something new.
Yeah, we were just talking to some friends, and let's say 10 years ago, we had 5 different businesses. They were all going concurrently, and that was great. And we kind of outgrew some of it. And I'm talking like simple, like not major corporations. So like right now, I have like 70 employees, right?
Yeah.
I run a multi-million-dollar budgeted business, and it was started from nothing. And now, I take care of 70 plus families in my community. But we also had, my husband and my kids had a hobby, which was motorcycle dirt bike riding. And I'm like, how can we make some money off of this? Because the cost to do this is a lot of money. Hobbies cost money. So we started a business where it was dirt bike riding tours, and they would take other people out on adventures so that they could go out and have adventures too. It was family off-road adventures, and we would go. Well, we since have gifted that to our children, but we raised our children in it. They got to learn what it meant to be an entrepreneur, to talk to people, to, socialize with people, to go on rides and trips and prepare and plan and, basically run a business. And so one of our sons now has different kinds of touring, off-road touring businesses with overlanding, and he takes the Sprinter vans out on these excursions, right? So he's got many different pieces to it because of us turning that little simple hobby into a business, and we could make money to write off the supplies that the kids wanted for their hobby because they were working for it as well.
Yeah, so, absolutely. That's wonderful.
You can have multiple businesses. You just have to know where to put your main focus. I do business consulting, so I work with women specifically. I focus on women in male-dominated industries. Why? Because I'm in a male-dominated industry. There's very few women CEOs out there running security businesses. I have private security, private investigations. We have major clients, and we have little local clients, right? So we have security officers out in the field. We have patrol vehicles out, roaming around. My husband, who also works in executive protection pieces, like he's worked security at the Olympics in Utah. He worked security at Super Bowls. He's worked security, so we can go out and do other things too, and have a successful running business with all that. So what do you want to create? What kind of wealth do you want to create in a business? And then you find a way to make that happen.
Yeah, that's so great. So one of the things you're known for is helping women step into their confidence. What do you believe is the biggest confidence block for women today, and how do you help them push through that?
I would say that I feel that one of the biggest confidence blocks is that women don't give themselves enough credit. We don't hold ourselves capable of doing the hard stuff. I admit I've fallen into the trap of, I wish this were easier. Right? Like, can it just be a little bit easier, please? But we're not giving ourselves we've been socialized, we've been nurtured into believing that women are meant to be the great givers of the world, not to necessarily be the great receivers in the world. And what that means is we take a hit as women for not being capable of doing it. And what I tell my my clients and when I talk on my podcast and all those things is that we are way more capable as women than we give ourselves credit. And a lot of times our confidence takes a hit because we don't give ourselves credit for what we really truly are capable of. If we could say, I don't know how to do this versus I can't do that.
Yeah.
Two completely different conversations.
Right.
Right? Like, I don't know how to do that means that I have the capacity to learn how to do it. I can't do that says that I'm not willing to take the time, energy, or effort to make that happen.
Yeah. Such a great viewpoint. And how would you get women to start pushing through that? I was thinking about this because I have a couple of friends that I'm very close to. They're not in our group. They're not entrepreneurs. They're actually both of them are teachers. And I was thinking that like they are some of my biggest cheerleaders, some of my biggest like fans, and I love spending time with them. And I think a lot of women get into supporting others and they don't support themselves the same way. Like I did an exercise, I mean, probably 20 years ago, where you write a letter to your best friend, and then you change the name to yourself. You change all of the yous to me, and that's actually you writing like a love letter to yourself, right? It's like a super powerful way to overcome some of those limiting beliefs we have about ourselves, right?
Yeah, I agree. I think that's a great, powerful exercise. I think, one of the biggest things, one of the easiest ways, I call it the easiest way to shift your confidence is to shift your body.
Okay.
So the first thing is like when you're talking about something as women have a tendency when somebody asks you about something, we kind of hunch our shoulders over, we put our head down and we talk like we don't really want you to hear what I have to say, but you asked me, so I'm going to tell you. If you're willing to sit up, stand up, put your shoulders back, put your neck up, not like a turtle, right? But just hold your head high and look the person in the eye and say, this is exactly what I do. So when I would do an introduction, so this is an old version, I would say, I'd stand up and people would say, oh, what do you do when you go out and mix and mingle? You go to Christmas parties, you do all this. And people ask you, oh, what do you do? Right. And people say, oh, well, I'm a teacher, or I'm a coach and I want to teach you this. That's not how I introduce myself. I would say, hi, I'm Kimberley Borgens. And you know how women have a tendency of trying to do everything on their own? And they're like, oh, yeah. I'm like, I help women stop doing that. But I'm confident. I'm bold enough to say it. I hold my body because my body is speaking way louder than the words out of my mouth.
Oh, yeah.
So one of the best ways you can gain confidence is to practice sitting up and speaking as if you are the expert of you.
Yeah.
That's the easiest, fastest tip that I could tell you. Practice it for a while. Some of you ladies, you go, oh yeah, I remember, I do kind of shrink down a little bit. Women have a tendency to shrink down. Look, men take up the space. Have you ever noticed this, Hawley? You go to a conference, right? And you're sitting at a conference table and you set your stuff down and all of a sudden this man's stuff comes over on your side. And, this man's stuff, you're sitting and you're kind of like squeezed into this tiny little spot on the table. And I'm like, oh, and I just gently push it back to their side. I have my space. I have my boundary there at the table. Men don't even pay attention to it. They just take up their space. Women apologize for being there. And I don't want women to apologize for being there anymore. I want women to say, no, here's my boundary. I am a strong, successful, bold woman. And if you're not bold, that's okay. I'm a strong, successful woman, right? I just happen to be bold. But let me tell you, that's only because I practice what I preach.
Yeah.
Can I just expand on that for a second, Hawley?
Please. Yeah, please do.
I'm an introvert. I am the kind of person that if you just give me a book, a good book, I'll sit in a corner, I will read all day. You won't even hear from me. Like, just let me go. When it comes to going to parties, like, I'm just like, oh, don't really want to go, but I have a business to run. Right? And so I'm extremely capable of being a bold, life of the party kind of gal as my persona in business.
Okay.
And so if you think that, "Oh, I'm just an introvert and I can't be successful and I just want to be authentically me." Well, I'm authentically me. I'm authentically the person I've learned how I need to be in order to grow business.
Right.
Right? Have you ever like been into a space and people like, "Hey, can you just tone it down a little bit, lady?"
I've been there.
Yeah, right? Or, "Man, I don't even want to listen to her because she's kind of shy and quiet. I don't know that she could handle the business that I'm going to bring her."
Mm.
Right?
Nobody
So
says
you
that about me.
nobody says that about me either anymore. But I will admit, like, there was a point when I think that's what people thought of me. Right? I was hidden. I stayed hidden for a very long time in my business because I just
Yeah.
had my head down and I was doing the job.
Yeah.
But if you, in today's persona world, with social media, Instagram, all the TikTok videos, everybody has to be their own personality. And
Yeah.
if you're not willing to step up your personality to fit what the demands are of our culture at this point, then you're
hmm
going to stay hidden and you're not going to be the successful person that you want to be.
Yeah, that's really great advice. I mean, I was going to ask you about one bold decision you made that shifted the trajectory of your business or life. But actually, I wanted you to talk a little bit more about this because you have a story about when you were coming up in your business and how your husband empowered you to claim CEO, right? So can you share a little bit about that story? Because I think it's so great how Lawrence supports you in making sure you are the one that is the voice and the face of your business now.
Yeah.
Maybe you didn't like that 15 years ago.
Yeah. So I will say this, like 20 plus years ago, um, we're business owners and we have 4 kids and we're raising these kids and we have assets. And, we decided, oh, we really do need to get life insurance. Right. And so this was the start of it. So we go to the agent and we're getting our life insurance. And he says to the life insurance agent, "Yeah, I need $1 million policy." And they're like, "Okay," and stuff like that. And the agent looked at me and I'm like, "Oh, $25,000. Like, you don't need a lot. I just don't need a lot. Like, whatever. Like, I'm just got my head down. I'm just being mom and taking care of business and, all of that." And my husband just kind of stopped and stared at me for a moment. He said, "Are you kidding me?" And I'm like, "What?" And he said, "We should get you twice as much as me because do you understand the role that you play? If something happened to you, not only would I have to hire a business partner," he said, "I would have to hire somebody to take care of the kids. I'd have to hire somebody to clean the house. I'd have to hire somebody to manage all the stuff that we do." He's like, "Do you not understand just how important you really are?"
Wow.
And I just like deer in headlights, like what just came out of the man's mouth, right? And I was like, "Well, all of that's true, but," and he's like,
Yeah.
no, but like you have to understand just how valuable you really are. And that was the first time. So yeah, we both got $1 million policies, right? And sometimes I'm like, "Shh, I need a $2 million policy." No,
Yeah,
just to
exactly.
play around with it a little bit, but because it created a shift in my mindset. Like I just am the kind of person to just get what needs to be done. And he was like, "You don't understand the value of everything that you do." And
Mhm.
so there was that piece with it. So if you don't have a life insurance policy, first off, get one, because I think that it's extremely important, and you can work with an agent to figure that out. But at the same time, what I am going to say is it also is, what is the value that you're putting on who you are?
Yeah.
And when we decided that we were going to incorporate the business, because we were running as solo, entrepreneurs. We were, just sole proprietors, the basics when you first start in business, because again, we were young, dumb and naive. And so when we decided that we were going to incorporate the business, we were talking about the structure and how we should have that, put that into place. And why it would be important for me to be the CEO of the corporation. And, yeah, I have women, I have the, businesswoman status. A lot of business, a lot of husbands go into business. So ladies, I just want you to hear this coming from my heart with all the love that I have. A lot of men go into business and they bring their wives in to be their secretary, to be their catch gal, to be the one to, to help out in the background. And they give their wife the title of CEO so that they can file the woman-owned business designation so that they can get the federal and state contracts. And the wife isn't really the CEO. The wife is really the secretary in the background. He's really running the company, but he utilized you in order to get that piece. And then marriages break up because the woman got used instead of utilized for her strengths. And my husband, who is my business partner, who is the president of the company, who is one step below the CEO. So when there's a final decision that needs to be made, the tiebreaker comes from me, right?
For business, right?
Business, right? At home, it comes from me too. But
That's funny. That's funny because we have something similar, Bobby and I. But what I have given him at home is veto power. Remember, I said I have given him, I have surrendered to the fact that sometimes, there's a decision that needs to be made, and I don't always have the best answers. So, almost 99% of the time, he's really never used it. I can't even think of one time that he's used it. But the fact that he has it, it just gives him the power, right? And men need to feel like they're able to have that ability over their family, right? So
yeah, absolutely. And even here in the business, we work together. Look, we live together, work together, play together. Okay. Sometimes, yes, we need a little less togetherness, but with that, like we have to learn. You have to learn how to communicate with the people that you work with.
Yeah.
Okay. And then you have to learn a whole new language to communicate with your spouse that you're working with. It is not, I'm not going to say it's easy. It can be done based on results because we've been doing it for 35 years.
Yeah.
Right. But I can go to him and I'm like, hey, this is a situation. How would you handle it? And I listen. Being a good CEO, I'm going to listen. And then I go, well, here's how I would handle it. And he listens. And sometimes the decision, we don't ever need the veto power from the CEO because we can either collaborate or I'm like, you know what? I'm not attached to the outcome of this. Just go ahead, make whatever decision you want.
Yeah.
And sometimes he'll say, okay, we'll try it your way. Right. And has it ever gotten heated? Absolutely. But then we come back to, well, what is it that we want to create here?
Yeah.
So my husband is a huge catalyst for women standing in their strength. Look, there's a lot of men who see women making more money than them as a problem.
Yeah.
And my husband says, challenge accepted. He says, oh, so you're going to make more money than me? Okay, let me go see what else I want to add that's going to bring in more money.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, that's similar. Yeah, that's similar for us too. And as you know, in a male-dominated industry, for those listeners that don't know, Kimberly and I are in this mastermind group together. We've traveled all over the world together. We've been to Bali and Singapore and South Africa, and most recently the Mediterranean on a wonderful cruise. And our husbands come with us. The last 2 trips, my husband came with us. The last 3 trips, her husband came. So, these guys are all kind of cut out of the same cloth, right? It's like they understand that they have very strong women in their life as their wife and as their business partner. In many cases, the husbands are business partners with the wives. And it's just really interesting to see how great our husbands get along, but also how supportive they are when we want to go and do something, I think that there's a lot of women out there that unfortunately don't have that. And I think you mentioned something that is key to it. Number one, listening, but that's part of communication,
Yeah.
And so if you are in a, if you came across a woman who is in a situation where they weren't being supported by their spouse, but they're on a trajectory to like grow their business to a multi-million-dollar business, and they don't have the support from their spouse, what are some things and some advice that you would give to that person? And how could you really work with them to make an impact in what you're doing with your leadership and legacy building that you're working with women entrepreneurs on?
That's a great question. I don't think anybody has ever asked me that question, Hawley. So that's a great question. Well, first I want to say is I got married at 18 to my high school sweetheart. At 19, we had a son, and at 20, he left, right? So I became a single mom. I was a single mom living out of my car, okay? Then I ended up on welfare, right? And then I, started going to school and then started working myself off of that. I met my husband now when my son was. So I get it. Single parenting is hard. Singles in business, it's hard. Like hard is hard. But guess what? Working with your spouse is hard. So whatever hard you're in, it's okay. You're not alone. The biggest thing that I would say is, as Hawley mentioned, is we're in mastermind together. We've traveled all over the world together. And the reason is because we put ourselves in situations with other women who are strong, who are powerful, that are helping us, be better in what we do, in how we are as human beings, is find a good group of people, a good group of women entrepreneurs that you can be part of. I mean, I even have a membership, a free membership. It's called the Hive Hangout. Like if you reach out, I'd love to invite you to the Hive Hangout where people can ask questions. And, I reach out to people individually and connect with them. I do coaching. I work with women because I want women to succeed. And I don't care if you're a single woman. I don't care if you're a woman who's working with your spouse. I don't care if you're a woman who has a spouse that's just not supportive in your business. Right? Because that's out there too. I've worked with many clients where they're married, but their spouse doesn't see their business as anything as a business, just a hobby. It's something she's doing right now, kind of attitude. But if you can find the right people to connect yourself with, the people like Hawley and myself that are out there, we're not just doing business for ourselves. We're out there mentoring, we're out there connecting, we're out there building communities to support those people behind us. Right, Hawley?
Absolutely. I mean, that's the biggest thing for me. It's the best part of what I get to do. I get to help others. And a lot of times those are young women who are making it in the insurance industry,
Yeah. And don't let the white hair fool you. Just because I've been, I got the white hair in my 30s. All right. I'm not that old. I'm still, I have a lot of knowledge for today, but I have great wisdom from what I've learned along the way that I get to use. And I call those my wisdom highlights. Right. But ladies, you want to find people of all ages to connect with because you just learn so much more from the diversity of that.
Yeah.
And all different kinds of businesses too. Like I don't just stick with people that are in the same industry as me. I mean, that's really hard to do when you're in security and there's very few women. But you have to expand, what you think your business should look like. Like I started out coaching people, 25 years ago. You and I both, Hawley, we found out later that we had some connections there, but we've been to personal development things. And I trained at some personal development programs. I was a trainer, a facilitator there, helping people bust up those belief systems. Because in the first 15 years of business, my business wasn't that sustainable for me to not work someplace else. Right. So I always had a job for the first 15 years working for somebody else so that I could build my business to where it is now. Right. And so during that time, there were very few coaches. Coaches were few and far between. Now people call themselves coach, even though they don't even coach. Right. So I have a different mindset of what coaching is. And that's really, truly bringing things out. And the point of bringing this up is that, things have shifted throughout the years, but you have to stay on top of it. But finding people that are willing to say, hey, hold on, why are you doing that? Or, have you thought of doing something a little bit different? And finding people that are just so diverse and so honest and willing to help. Look, people will take your money all day long, right?
Yep.
But people who really give you true value, you really got to find those people.
Absolutely. I think it's really a great point that you just made about the coaching and how it's changed over the years. I mean, when I first started getting a coach, people didn't understand what I was doing because it wasn't a thing in the 90s and the early 2000s. Now, like you said, there are a lot of coaches out there. What do you think some key factors are, or some key traits you want to look for when you're hiring a coach?
Well, I want to kind of just differentiate for just a quick moment of the difference between a coach and a consultant.
Yes, please.
A consultant is a person who tells you what to do, gives you strategies for you to go and take on and try it out as an experiment, in essence. Those consultants are people who have either done the work, they have book knowledge, or they heard about somebody else who was doing something and they're sharing that information with you. A coach, on the other hand, from when I was raised bringing up coaching, when I got my coaching accreditation from the Worldwide Association of Business Coaches, my accreditation, a coach is a person who takes what you have, your knowledge, your skills, and ask you questions about it so that you actually find the right answers for you. An example might be is I might say, hey, Hawley, I know that you're trying to grow your podcasting, your interviews with people, and you want to get some really dynamic people. What have been some things that have worked for you to do that in the past? Right?
Yeah.
I'm going to ask you
questions
so that I understand your business and what you want to create first. I'm not just going to give you cookie cutter information as like a consultant will, but a true coach stops and thinks about you. What is it you have to offer? What is it that you bring to the table? And how can we enhance that? And occasionally might put on a consultant hat and say, hey, can I just be a consultant and kind of like teach you how to do this skill real quick so that you can incorporate that into your business. And I think by finding the right coach would mean that if you need someone to teach you something and you need somebody to help you figure out how to grow your business, and if you can find somebody that can marry the two and bring that into you, then you're going to win no matter who you hire. If you're just bringing in a consultant and your goal is just to grow, they're like your salesperson or somebody who's going to manage your books with you or something to that effect, then that's fine. But just be very clear that's what you're hiring them for. If you're hiring somebody to really coach you and to really dig into your business to see how you can expand it, then you have to make sure you're asking the questions and see how many questions they ask you. Because I often say with my coaching clients, I'm a professional question asker.
Because really the answers are inside you, right? I mean, you have the answers. You might not be able to see it because you're so in the middle of it. But I think a good coach, I look at it like coaching sports, right? Usually you have somebody who's athletic and talented and all those things in whatever sport. Like I coached volleyball for years, and it's my job as a coach to bring that out of them, to develop it, to grow their skills or their natural ability into something that flourishes that they can take to the next level. And I look at that in business coaching too. It's like, it's in there. It might be a blind spot for me, but it's in there and I know what to do, but I really just need somebody to help me identify that, to help me, really bring it out and really help it flourish into the direction that I want it to go. So I think that's really important to understand the difference between that and also mentor too. Like people talk about mentoring and coach kind of in the same conversation, but really they are coach, consultant, and mentor. There are three different, and then I would even add advocate too, because if you're a woman in the industries like we're in, you definitely need advocacy too. You need somebody who's going to fight for your voice to be heard.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Advocate I take on is that's every woman's duty.
Well, yeah, that's a great way to put it, but not every woman does that.
Correct. Look, I was at a party, a Christmas party yesterday, and I was talking to another entrepreneur. I had never met her, but we were talking about some stuff, and she said to me something about, because I go to these women's organizations and, networking and stuff, and you can be collaborative. I said, but you know what? She said, I go to women's groups and they're not very collaborative. They're actually not very nice. And I said, yeah, let me tell you, I've been in a male dominated industry for over 35 years. I have never, ever been treated as badly by a man as I have by a vindictive woman in business.
Mm-hmm.
And I say that because women can get that way. But if I hear somebody talking to a friend of mine, a coworker, any woman whatsoever, and they're talking down at her, and I don't care if it's a man, woman, or a kid, a teenager, I'm going to go like, no, hey, let's go over here, because she doesn't need to be talked like that.
Yeah.
Too. Like, nope, that's not how we play here. Sorry. Yeah. And that's part of my security business is we create safe communities. So wherever I'm at, it's a safe space. And I'm going to make sure the people around me are in that safe space too. Because, women, we have to stop trying to be in competition with each other. We have to stop trying to one up each other or to do better, because that innate thing that we have in us was for getting men and procreating.
Yeah, it's biology.
It's not meant for business.
No, it's biology.
It's biology only. Women. I mean, I get it. We have that innate in us. Yeah. But it was only meant to find the right man with the right chiseled, jawbone and the right, all of that, so that we could have healthy offspring. That's not what it is in business. So push that aside and stand up for the women and say, hey, we don't need that here. How can we collaborate? Oh, we can't collaborate? Great. How about you go over there and work your business, and we're going to go over here. We're going to collaborate.
Yeah, I think it's really, like I said from the beginning, Kimberly, we could be on here for hours talking, but we are going to go into the lightning round. Before we do that though, I want you started to tell people about how they connect to your membership group, your free membership, as well as your regular membership. So give us a little information on how we can find you. We'll make sure that gets in the show notes so that anybody who wants to reach out to you or join your group, they can do so.
Yeah. KimberlyBorgens.com. Really easy. If you spell it correctly, then, you find it faster. If not, it has to reroute, but
L-E-Y, Kimberly with the L-E-Y.
B-E-R-L-E-Y. So KimberlyBorgens.com. Go there. I have free gifts. I have videos, all of that. But also go listen to podcasts. If you're listening to this podcast, you listen to other podcasts. I have a podcast called Superheroes in Heels with Kimberly Borgens. So we put on our heels, we get to work. And, I do interviews. I have podcasts. It's just me rambling on and, sharing hints, tips, and ideas and things like that. So find me at those two places and connect with me. Say hello. My free membership, when you get a gift from me, then you get, hey, do you want to join my membership? So it's really easy. It's the Hive Hangout where we hang out and talk business and support each other. So those would be the best ways to get a hold of me. Thanks, Hawley, for asking.
Absolutely. And Kimberly is a great gift giver. Let me tell you that. I have been the recipient of many. All right, let's go into the lightning round. 1 or 2 words to describe your leadership style.
Bold and honest.
Awesome. Coffee or tea?
Neither. I'm a cocoa girl.
Hot chocolate for you.
Yeah.
What is your go-to productivity hack?
Close the door, turn off the phone, and focus. I do focus times. I have a book by my desk all the time. And whenever I'm reading, I take 15 minutes a day to read. I do focus time. I schedule it because that's the best way to get it done.
Awesome. Favorite business book or podcast you recommend?
Well, podcast, obviously, Women of Wealth, Superheroes and Heels, right?
Yes, Superheroes and Heels
are two. But you know what? I'm listening more I try to listen to women. I find women that are not big podcasters, and I try to encourage them.
Awesome.
Yeah, so I vary on that. I'll find the new one and kind of play with them.
Nice.
Help them out.
What's a money myth you wish would go away forever?
That we have to deserve money. Money is just a tool. Don't put any emotion on money. Money is just a tool. If you don't have it, that just means that you need some help to learn how to do something, or you need some help on how to have a work ethic. Those would be the two ways. And once you can learn those two things, you can always make money.
Absolutely. If you could sit down for lunch with any woman of wealth, past or present, who would it be?
I think right now, like, what is her name? Adrina Nui, who was the CEO for Pepsi Cola. She no longer is. I would sit down. She would be a great one because she had to go through a lot on the male-dominated side.
For sure.
Adrina Nui. Yeah.
Of course, those old corporations, they're filled with.
And the other one, Mother Teresa, because she had zero money. She was in poverty, but she was also the richest woman in the world. She could get a jet plane to go anywhere. She could get anything that she wanted, and she didn't have to have money to do it. Yeah. So what the influence I could learn from her.
Yeah, influence. That's big. Well, Kimberly, thanks again for joining us. I appreciate you as always. And I'm going to go ahead and make sure all your information is in the show notes. And I'm going to go ahead and end the recording.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Hawley.